17th, I don't know how. We won it in Bilbao. Come on, people. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brighton 4. A end to the season. We all expected. They'd all been on the lash. They've all been on the piss. I'm here with Marlon from Spurs Kings TV. Look, we expected this result, to be honest. And to be fair, the first half, we were 1-0 up, playing quite well.
Yeah, I didn't expect the first half.
Didn't expect the first half, running around.
Confused me.
But obviously, clearly, all caught up within the second half. You could see the players could barely run. A lot of them. Johnson, I don't know how he played 90 minutes. A few of them, Bentancur obviously went off early, and clearly all the celebrations after the game had been catching up with a lot of the fans. But yeah, we have been beaten 4-1 in our last home game against Brighton, which does mean that Tottenham do finish 17th in the Premier League this season. 38 points, 22 defeats. I think at home, I don't know, 10 losses is it now at home?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to get a few fans after today saying it's unacceptable. You can't lose this. You can't lose another defeat. 22 defeats, 17th, all this kind of stuff. But if you saw the reaction in the stadium after conceding that fourth goal, loudly singing "Oh," and the Spurs, loudly cheering on the team, sounded like the guys in the stadium today didn't care too much. But it's hard to analyse in terms of the game, but look, as we'll go through it, first half, 1-0 up. Solanke scored a penalty. Tell was looking bright early on, causing them problems.
Yeah, he had a shot as well.
It
should have been two.
Should have been two, yeah. Should have been two. He'll be disappointed. Tell was causing problems. And we were pressing quite well. Bentancur, Gray in the middle were pressing quite well. We defended. I can't remember too many chances Brighton had in that first half.
They were over the bar and I think Karius saved one. There weren't many to talk about. It was quite a decent, hard-fought performance in the first half. But I think where Sarr was on the pitch and we didn't have that attacking midfield, we had a flat three. So it meant that Sarr was backing up both midfielders, and it just meant that Brighton weren't getting. It reminded me a lot of Man United, but this time we were getting chances with it. However, once that half finished, it was kind of like, okay, here we go. We
knew we probably had to be more than a goal up.
Yeah, we had to be, and we were debating when that alcohol was going to kick in.
Yeah, it's true.
Because we were a bit like, what the hell are you doing? Because like most of us fans are feeling it, and we've been on a bender for 2 days. You lot have been on a bender for 2 days. You ain't playing full. Yeah, so no sleep, no nothing, and it was kind of like, when are Brighton going to actually come into this game? And as soon as that second half kicked in, I think Sarr was probably feeling it a little bit. He wouldn't have been drinking, but he probably was feeling it, probably lack of sleep and young, and he's done a lot of running around. And so he came off for Odegaard, and it just changed the whole dynamic of the game. I don't know if it was going to change anyway, but it just seemed to change. It just put it more in Brighton's favour. Odegaard probably didn't touch the ball for 10 minutes, it looked like. But yeah, I think a lot of us at the beginning of this game said 3-0, 4-0 anyway.
Yeah, it was gonna. I was expecting a heavy defeat today because we saw, didn't we, with the celebrations. Yeah. For literally the last 3 days, the parade. They were drinking beers on the open top bus. Look, at the end of the day, the club consciously made a decision to put that parade on the Friday. Yeah. Right. They didn't do it on the Monday. They could have done it tomorrow. They didn't. They made a decision.
I don't think they were allowed to.
Well, why wouldn't they be allowed to?
Because of Wembley being used.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, because of the policing. It was the police that said we had to do Friday. And because Wembley was being used Saturday, Sunday, because Crystal Palace have obviously got their parade Monday, but it's in South London. We're in North. The police are going to basically be at the finals. Meant that the only day we had free was Friday.
Okay, fine.
So we had no choice.
I guess we had no. Well, unless they could have done the Tuesday.
They could have probably done the Tuesday, but I suppose they could have done the Tuesday.
Well, I guess what's the difference in the Friday
what's
and
the
the
difference? I think it's because all the players were going away. I think they've all booked. I think they've all booked to go away, so they might have done it that way.
Well, at the end of the day, we had the parade on the Friday. You could see the open top bus. Everyone was drinking. Everyone having a great time. You could see Brennan was absolutely smashed. Sonny was drunk. He was swearing on his speeches, all this kind of stuff, and told them to enjoy it. And hell, did they enjoy it? So, for me, I'm not too bothered about today. Obviously, when you take the whole league season into account, it's been a disaster, the league season. 17th is something we never really expected.
Yeah, it's
worse than poor, let's be honest.
It's so poor. But the only thing I would say is, let's go back to January quickly. Let's just quickly go back to January window. We didn't sign a player for that first team to help Ange out for nearly how many days? And Danso and who else came in? Tell came in at the last minute. The club didn't act. And we all said last summer they didn't act. And actually, when it came down to it, Ange was left exposed a little bit with it. Now, I'm not making excuses for Ange, but the club needs to pay a price for this as well, because they had a chance. They went all out for Mawani, and that was it. And you're like, hold on, we still need a defender. If Dragishi never got injured, oh my God, we would have been stuck, absolutely stuck. So I'm not going to sit there. Look, Ange takes the blame for most of it, but he's come out and said, look, he's concentrated on Europe. If you look at some of the games where he was using the starting 11 constantly over the 3 days, they looked absolutely knackered, and he should have changed the tactics. I completely agree with it. He should have changed it, maybe gone more defensive, more passive, so we were harder to break down. However, he got to a semi-final of a Carabao Cup, and he beat Manchester City, Manchester United, and Liverpool in the first leg in it. Yes, he got absolutely trounced in the second leg, and Coventry was poor. FA Cup, poor against Tamworth, which was probably our second poorest game after Leicester, I'd probably say, when I calculate the whole season. And then Aston Villa came 3 days after Liverpool. And they looked, and he had to basically use the same 11, and they looked absolutely knackered. So, but we had this reprieve in the Europa League. And before people say, all right, we beat Cannon Fodder, we beat this, we beat that. Okay, let's take who we beat. We beat Alkmaar, who was in our group, who we only beat 1-0 when we had our team.
Thrashed Galatasaray. In the round before.
So the only reason why we got them was because of that. Frankfurt, was it after that?
Yeah. Third in the Bundesliga.
Third in the Bundesliga. Going to be playing Champions League football next year. So does that mean the Champions League is poor? Okay. And then we got onto Bodo, who knocked out, was it Olympiacos, if I remember correctly, Lazio, who the two teams that I was more worried about if we had to play them away. And then they got through it. They beat those teams who we were all saying, oh, we'd struggle. And Bodo Glimt were probably, I think if Richarlison didn't come back when he did, we may have had a bit more trouble breaking them down, because they're not very good in the air. However, we broke them down and beat them. We have to beat what's in front of us. And then we played a Manchester United side. Yes, they've had a poor season in the Premier League, but they went the whole Europa League unbeaten. So it's not nothing to be frowned upon.
They knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup, so
and
they can turn up on
like they did today. They've turned up against Villa as well.
Yeah, like Liverpool, they got a draw at Anfield 2-2.
Yeah,
like yes, I know they're not a good United side. I know I'm not sitting here saying it was an unbelievable achievement to beat that United team, but we know that United on their day can turn it on. As I said, they knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup. So it's not a given. And also you had before Carragher saying no chance Tottenham beat United in a European Cup final. So it's not like it was a given we were going to win that game.
And that's the thing. So I'm looking at, we've had a big high, but we've also had lows. And I think at the end of the day, I think every time we've won a cup, I think we've finished mid-table or below anyway. So we as fans need to think about, do you want Norwich away, or do you want, what do you call it, Wednesday night?
Exactly.
And that's what we have to weigh up as fans, because if you go by history under this ownership, the two trophies that they've won, we've had poor seasons. We've had poor seasons. So I know people will be asking, saying we should have finished higher, but we have finished where we finished. It can only be an improvement.
And look, there's no getting away from it. I acknowledge it's an embarrassing league finish. There's no. I'm not going to sit here and say
it's been horrible.
It's a good thing we finished here, or it's fine. It's not fine. We know that a lot of things massively need to improve and need to change. But at the end of the day, this is the season we ended 17 years of hurt. This is the season we've ended with a 4-year wait for a European trophy. We've got over the line. The team is together. The team, I think, are behind the manager. I do think, with some good additions, we've got that money now with the Champions League football we're going to be playing next season to really reinforce the squad, hopefully, and give a really good cracker next season. And despite the fact it was another heavy defeat today, which let's be honest, we all expected. It's not really a surprise we lost today, given the state of the players, and Brighton as well had something to play for. I know you can maybe look at other games like Everton had nothing to play for, they won, and you had United had nothing to play for against Villa and they won. And that's fair enough, but they haven't spent the last few days celebrating. Look at Liverpool's form over the last few weeks.
Liverpool's
been terrible. They've been getting beat, and that's because they've been partying and they've been on the beach and celebrating because they've achieved something. That's what happened with us today. So,
but we need to appreciate this moment right now, because we're not going to get many of these moments with this cup. And I know people will be like, we can't ignore the league form. I'm going to ignore the league form until August. I'm sorry, I'm going to be that shameless. That cup win on Wednesday was completely what I've been asking for so long, and I got it. And I had to go through this terrible season. Look, I was after the Leicester game, I wanted Ange gone. I said I didn't care who was in, but however, he got us over the line. Something that, like he said, other managers haven't been able to do. Let's appreciate what we've got now. Let's not think about next season just yet. Let's appreciate this summer. Let's go and say we won the Europa League. And then let's think about next season and then when it comes to it. Because we've still got a Super Cup to play.
Are people, I know I can see in the chat, do people seriously have the energy to moan today?
There's no...
Are you really going to moan today about a defeat in a game which ultimately meant nothing just a few days after winning the Europa League? Is that what we're going to do? Now is about celebrating. Now is about being happy. Now is about... I know we've won the trophy. We have to move forward from that. And that will happen. The time to move forward from that will happen. We're not even a week away from that trophy win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, at the beginning of the season, at the end of the day, the goal was Champions League and a trophy. And here we are with that.
Sitting there with a trophy.
And Champions League football. That is what we've done. And I know 17th is a horrible position to be in. It's an embarrassing position.
Horrible.
It's an embarrassing position to be in. We're only above the 3 relegated teams. But I think there are reasons why we're in that. We finished in that position. Clearly, in the last few weeks, we've been putting all our eggs in that Europa League basket. We've been playing our best sides. We've literally been using the Premier League as training matches ahead of the Europa League. During that December period, we were absolutely decimated with horrible injury problems. We were playing the likes of Gray at centre back alongside Dragoshin and no Vicario. We were playing Fraser Forster.
There was a lot of games as well,
and loads of games and tough games and just non-stop. And we managed to get through the Europa League games, but a lot of the Premier League games just weren't able to do it. And I do think, first of all, as well, also think. Since the players have come back, injury-wise, I think he's dealt with it a lot better in terms of when we haven't seen too many muscle injuries since the players have come back. Not many hamstring
and they've all been in games as well, so it's not been like training where we go.
No, it's just been knocks and things like that. So I think the injury front, I have reason to believe, hopefully, we're not going to have the same injury crisis next season as we did this season. I've got hope for that. I can see the players are behind him. The players clearly want him to stay. They want to. I think they really, really believe in him. When he says something like I always win in my second season, goes and does it, that belief that will give the players. You can't underestimate that, and the togetherness that trophy win is going to give them. That actually won a trophy, the experience of winning something. So for me, today is not the day to complain about.
The question is, I'll ask people in the chat right now: is would you rather be us right now or Aston Villa?
Exactly.
That is a valid question. You've got to ask yourself that question, because I know a lot of people going 22 defeats, but you've got to ask yourself a question: or would you rather be Man United right now, where it completely Wednesday you get beat and then we're sitting here 17th? I get it, and I was out, but he gave me something I thought I'd never see, and I can't dismiss that. I'm not going to dismiss that. I am literally over the moon. Just being at that parade on Friday, I tell you now, I want that again. I really want that again. And sometimes you got to take the rough with the smooth, unfortunately. You do. Mm-hmm. You do. And I know everyone be saying, but why can't we win cups and be in the top 4 as well? Unfortunately, under this ownership, it doesn't happen. You either get one or the other. And a lot of people say, but protesting don't work and this, that, and the other. So I'm stuck with Levy. So at the end of the day, I've got to make sacrifices. I could sit there and go, I want top 4 and I want trophies at the same time. It just doesn't seem like it's going to work that way. So I've got to take a backdoor route through it. So I'm going to sit there and say, look, I'm not going to, this season has been an absolute mess. I have not wanted to come on We Are Tottenham TV. I have not sometimes because I just thought, what am I doing? This is enough. And I wanted Ange gone. Right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let me enjoy this next month or so. I'm going to enjoy this trophy. And then when it comes to next season, as a fan base, let's reassess. Let's reassess what happens.
You can defend 22 defeats. Well, I can defend a trophy. I can defend a Europa League. That's what I can defend. You know, that's what we've been craving for. Yeah. That's what all we've wanted for years. This club is obsessed with it. Yeah. We're obsessed.
You saw him. How emotional people were. It was literally
crying.
They were crying.
You think they'll be crying? We finished fourth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No one. Let's go back.
Going to be shedding a tear.
I always go back to that Norwich game when we played when Conte secured 4th spot. Everyone was happy, but everyone was still like, "Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that." But this time we've got, and we wanted a trophy. That's why we brought in the Mourinhos and we brought in the Contes. It's what us fans wanted, unfortunately. And like Ange said, he came here to win things, and he did, unfortunately. He did it in probably the worst season that we've ever had in the Premier League, but he went and won something. And it's just like, let's park the league season for a minute and enjoy the moment that we had. How many people were congratulating us for winning that game? Getting over it. It's like one of the best trophies to win. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it because actually the season was so bad. It was just like, I'm going to enjoy this moment. And that's what people need to do. They need to enjoy the moment right now and forget the league season up until you're ready to think about it next season. And think about it like this. You've got a Super Cup to look forward to as well. Exactly. In early August, you've actually got a look for the Super Cup. Arsenal ain't got one. Manchester City have got their Super Cup. What was it, last year they won it? They got theirs. So come on, people. Just reflect a little bit and kind of go, yes, 22 defeats is terrible. If you want Ange out, that's you. But enjoy what we've got. Just enjoy it. Please, Spurs fans, enjoy it. Just don't sit there and take this for granted because it might be another 17 years before we win another one. Exactly. Think of it like that.
Someone said in the comments, would you take 17th in a trophy next season? Well, if it's the Champions League, I would. 100%, I'm taking 17th in a Champions League. I think you can stay. Look, at the end of the day, if you look, you can look over this season, the league season, how bad it was. But terrible. Over his 2-year period, first season, he's finished 5th.
Yeah.
And then second season, he's... yes, he's finished 17th, but he's won a European trophies. He's finished 5th and won a European trophy, right, in his first 2 seasons at the club. I can't remember too many other managers who have had a better first 2 seasons.
Well, this is the thing. Like everyone was talking about when Poch left, he was never backed. He never got over the line.
Poch in his first 2 seasons finished fifth in his first and 3rd in his second, but no trophies. Ange finished 5th in his first, and yes, it was 17th, but he won a European trophy, so he got into the Champions League.
If people want to know trophies and finishing 4th every year, that's down to them. You know, it is down to them. But I really wanted a trophy, but now I'm expecting, and this is the thing now, I'm not expecting 17th next year, and I'm not expecting 22 defeats. I'm expecting him to actually change this around, and I'm not going to lie, I'll be the first one on his back, because I didn't want this season, but I ended up getting a trophy at the end of it, and I'm just looking at it going, look, he has promised again that the third season is going to be better than the second. He did say to us at the beginning he was going to win a trophy. You know, he's backed it up so far. He has actually backed it up, and that's the worst thing about it. He's actually backed it up. Let's see what happens. Let's just go for the ride. We've got Champions League football next year. This board have got some acting to do as well in the summer. Let's go and get everything we need to make this club bigger and better.
Apparently Levy got booed at the trophy parade. I'm just trying to... I say I put Levy on screen there.
And Levy got booed, but he's got a big summer now. He's got to act on it. You saw his speech. We finally won the trophy. Let's see what happens.
And I'm not sitting here saying all is well.
Oh, it's not well.
You know what I mean?
It's not well.
All is well and everything's perfect and there's no problems. There's a lot of
major
problems
issues
to sort out. And today was, maybe more evidence that with a heavy defeat, although again, there were reasons for that. But I really believe this season, in terms of the league form, will be a one-off. I do think we've seen he can get a better performances in the league. We've seen it last season. We can play a lot better. I think he's learned a few lessons, harsh lessons this season about injuries and how we play in certain games and all these kind of things. And I think in the Europa League, he's shown he's learned from some of those lessons, I think, as well, in terms of getting over the line in certain occasions. But he's also brought us success. And he's shown if we follow him, he can bring us success if we trust in him. I think he has shown that. And I know people say, look at the 22 defeats, look at that. But for me, he from all the difficult periods, which in any other season we probably sacked the manager, right? We decided to stick with him this time, and yes, the league form has been what it is, but he ends up with a trophy. He ends up with a Europa League trophy, a major European trophy. So for me, I don't care about today. I'm still on a high after winning that Europa League. I'm looking at some clips from the fans in the stadium. Clearly, it's a popular opinion. And look, we had literally 2 days ago. We had a parade. Parading 225,000 Spurs fans on the street of Tottenham, parading a European trophy. So for anyone today, after a defeat, when the players have clearly been just drinking for their till their heart's content for the last few days, if you're complaining about this defeat and saying, oh, this and that, not good enough, blah, 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 and for me, I just don't have power to say anything to that. You go and complain. If that's how you live your life, I couldn't care less. I knew we were going to get battered today. It was so obvious. I said it before the game. Everyone knew it. And we just got to be happy. And we're going to summer ahead. We'll see what happens with the manager. For me, I think he's got the right to stay. If we sack him, it depends who we bring in. Like, if there's an amazing option available, let's say Klopp is willing to come back into management and he's willing to take the Tottenham job, okay, fine, you can bring Klopp in. But like, if you're talking about Iraola or Marco Silva or Frank, I don't see the point in sacking Ange for those guys. Ange is the only one of those guys who would have had a European trophy. None of those guys do. So.
And at the end of the day, the board is still the board.
Exactly.
And that's the big concerning thing. I'm
willing to give it another go. I'm willing to give it another season. As Ange said, season 3 is better than season 2. I believe him. I believe it's going to be better. I
hope it's better, because I'm going to be open and honest. If he starts off badly and it's the end of August, then I hope Spurs have already got the backup already lined up.
Exactly. So for me, there'll be a lot of... Look, there's going to be fans, obviously, who react to whoever they want to react to today's defeat. But we're going to be walking around that lap of honour with a European trophy there. And that's the most important thing.
When it comes to honours this year that's been won by the English teams on Sky Sports, when they do it every season on Sky Sports News for the whole summer, our name's going to be there. Not finishing second, not finishing third, not finishing fourth. When it's going to say Champions League places, it's going to have Tottenham's name in there. And that's where we're at. It's not going to say 22 defeats, unfortunately.
Super chat from CCM20 says, where's the context on how easy this Europa League was? Hardest game in the league or knockout was Galatasaray away? I don't care. First of all, there are some good teams in this Europa League. There were some good teams, whatever you want to say.
But most of them, like some of them teams,
some of the teams in this competition, are going to play in
Champions League football next year.
Forget who we played in terms of in this competition. In terms of you saying it's so easy to win, the third best team in the Bundesliga win this competition. The fourth best team in La Liga win this competition. The fifth and sixth best teams in Serie A win this competition. The fifth best team and sixth best team in Liga win this competition. Like, there are some competition player teams who have finished very high up their respective leagues in the top 5 leagues, who all were in this competition and failed to win. If you look at our run, RZ, look, I know they're not the best team, but they battered a good Galatasaray team over 2 legs. The round before we played them. Frankfurt are a good team. We've seen that this season, and we beat them fair and square. Bodo, are a team. Yes, they're not the biggest team and don't have a lot of money, but they beat Lazio in the round before, and they gave a lot of teams a lot of trouble. Beat Porto, beat. I think that they who else? They beat a lot of teams this season, and in previous years in European competition, giving a lot of teams a lot of trouble. So it's never a given that we're going to win that. And then we beat Man United in the final. Who, yes, Man United are not the best Man United we've seen, probably one of the worst, but they're still Man United. They still have a knack of getting themselves over the line in these cup finals that we've seen in previous years. They also knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup. They also, went to Anfield and got a point and beat Man City at the Etihad. This is a team capable of getting big results on big occasions, whatever you want to say. And I'm not saying, it's so amazing to beat them. Obviously, I thought we were going to win, but I'm just saying it's not a given. Yeah. So you can give all the, look at this, look at that, all the context you want. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who won it. We won the whole thing. And you have to be a good team to do that. You can't just win it. It's not just a given you're going to win. And you add in the context, we haven't won anything for 17 years. And we haven't won a European Trophy for 40 years. The pressure that puts on these players on these big occasions. You look at who we've lost to in previous years in the Europa League, like Ghent under Poch. That was our best ever Premier League team under Poch.
Yeah, and they lost Ghent.
You know what I mean?
And we got knocked out of the group stage.
That was our best ever
League.
team. Yeah. So if it was so easy to win this competition and get past these teams, why did our best ever team lose to Ghent? Mourinho lost to Zagreb. Conte lost in the Conference League to Mura. If all these games were just so easy, why these all results happened and it didn't happen to us.
And we finished top 4 that year.
Credit where credit is deserved. Yeah. We have won that Europa League. I don't want to hear any negativity today. I don't care about a loss today. I don't care about 22 defeats. I don't care about 17th. I care that we are the Europa League.
And we won't get relegated next year because Sunderland ain't going to be the Championship side's coming up. There's a big gap. And I think that's what clearly seen. Because if we won today, we were 14th.
Exactly.
So, and that's the throw context in there. But look, Andrew's not getting a free pass for our league form this year. And this is one thing that I will say. Sim might give him a free pass, but I'm not giving it to him. He is not getting a free pass. At the end of the day, there is no way in hell Tottenham should be losing 22 games in a league season. There are games this year that I know in the second part of the season that he shouldn't have been losing. However, he delivered on something that probably I thought I'd never see, and that's the biggest thing. So let's just get on with it.
All right. Well, that is our instant match reaction. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this. Well, the season today. Are you complaining? Are you not caring? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But that was our instant match reaction. Let's get the stentless Brian Daigle on the screen.
I was wondering where you were going with that, Sim. Thank you very much, buddy. How are you both?
Sorry, yeah, good. Sorry, you're just crackling a bit. I think it's our end. Yeah, I'm doing good, Brian. Doing good. Look, it's another defeat today, 4-1. A few days after lifting that trophy in Bilbao, it's probably seeing the celebrations, wasn't it, after the game?
Yep.
It's probably something that wasn't unexpected. But what were your thoughts?
I'm really not bothered by the game. Really, I'm kind of where you and Marlon are with everything you were saying. I think Marlon stole half my material for what I was going to say when I came on here right now.
Apologies. Brian, I haven't spoken to you for a couple of days because I've been celebrating, and you have too, so I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, Joe, the thing I take away from this game, in all honesty, were those incredible scenes before kickoff. Those flags flying, that south stand looking magnificent. The whole stuff. That's what we've wanted. That's what we've waited for. That's what I've come on screaming, shouting, bitching, moaning, wanting to see. And I saw it. Listen, half the players, I was surprised with the lineup I had put out. It's the only thing I've got to say. I was like, half of them are probably still seeing double vision and lightheaded with all the celebrations they've done. I'm really not fussed by this score. When the people want to say, well, it should have meant that, what were we honestly expecting?
Yeah, it was always going to, with all the videos of and pictures of Spurs players doing all-nighters and all the beer on the bus they were drinking, and everyone was clearly just smashed. It was always going to be a day today which they was never going to get the best of them, and I think so it told. In fact, to be fair though, the first half we were actually not bad. We were 1-0 up and they were actually looking all right, and I think caught up with them in the second half.
Yeah, I think listen, it's been obviously we all know all the twists and turns and negatives and whatever's gone on with this season. It's over now. Like you both said, we've won a cup. by hook or by crook, we got it over the line. We've had better managers or higher stature, reputation, more elite players, better squads, and they've all failed to get it over the line. Whether it be the Europa League when teams drop down into Champions, whatever it may be, they've all come up short. They've all come up short. And for once, I'm going to enjoy this summer.
Thank you.
Gloriously as a European champion with silverware.
Yep.
Just enjoying Arsenal fans in a meltdown and saying the Women's Champions League is more important. I mean, these are the things I've been dreaming of seeing. We've won a trophy, which is something ever since I've been on here that I come on and strive for and say that's my objective. And we've done it, and like it or not, Ange Postecoglou delivered it.
Yeah, delivered it.
Yeah, I'm just watching scenes at the moment of the trophy being in the lap of honour. And apparently on the big screen, they cut to Levy and everyone was cheering. And then when they cut to Levy on the big screen, everyone started booing. And they had to quickly
I have to say, when they do that at the Scotland Yard, I get what I call Levy Tourette's. So that's worldwide. But look, that was bound to come. As you saw that I put in your chat and everything, I'm not. Wait, let me just move away from someone singing for no reason whatsoever. Like I said, he's won that cup. He deserves the right to say, listen, or speak to Levy and whatever and say, listen, this is what happened. This is why last season was a muck up, blah, blah, blah. But whatever happens, this club needs to come out quickly and either say, Ange Postecoglou is the Tottenham Hotspur manager going forward, and this is what we're doing, and announce Paratici or whatever it may be, and move in the direction and attack this market to bring in quality. Or if the club do go the other way, they need to do this quick and have the manager, kind of like when we sat Ramos and replaced with Redknapp and Jose and Poch. If they are going to do this, then they need to act quickly so the new person. But whether he stays, whether he goes, I'm fine with it right now. Like I said, I was very, very Ange out. I fell off the wagon in January, went on a bender. Now I've reverted. I've reverted back. I've checked myself into rehab, and he's given me, like I said, he gave me, like it or not, memories. I spoke to you in bed about him when I came on when you were trying to get some sleep. That I saw with my nephews and saw with people that have just witnessed something very, very special, and that means something to me. The Tottenham Hotspur fan in me as a little boy from 1991, that means something to me.
Yeah. That
means something to me. But forget the league position, granted, unacceptable. The defeats, unacceptable, and that needs to be explained. And they need to move forward because this can't happen again. But Ange Postecoglou has delivered something that, like I said, the little kid in me, which may have got a little bit lost during all my Levy out stuff, which will continue. He's delivered something that many have gone to try and do and failed, and players as well. So I'm kind of like, if he stays, brilliant, he stays. If he goes, Spurs have got to do this right. But either way, actions speak louder than words with Daniel. And obviously we've seen his statement. Now, whatever he does do, when it comes to bringing in the players, we need some quality, we need some experience to help these youngsters. And we had the slide, everyone goes on about the sliding doors moment against Liverpool, didn't they? Then you've got the sliding doors moment against both Liverpool, the Champions League and the 4-1. Well, this sliding door moment, we have the stadium, which we were told we needed. We have the finances that we were told we needed. We need Champions League football, which we were told we needed. We need to be above PSR and FFP. We've done that. So all those kind of, but we need this. They're gone. They're done with. This is the time. But like I said, Ange Postecoglou has given myself a memory as a Spurs fan myself, and the first time as an uncle seeing my nephews see Spurs, and no one can take that away from me, and no one can. And Ange has done that.
You said you read the statement from Levy earlier. He didn't expressly, confirm anything about Ange, did he? Like, what do you read into that statement? Do you think, based off that, You still feel they're probably looking to make a change, or?
Do you know what? I don't know, but I think Ange Postecoglou on the parade, with that season 3 is better than season 2, he really put the pressure back on Daniel, isn't it? He made it. He really mind games kind of thing, and that's a stroke of genius from him.
Yeah.
On that, sure. on the mind games and everything. It does sound like once again they haven't chatted, which you thought we'd have some contingency plans either way. But hopefully now that the season's over, they can enjoy this evening and obviously the lap of honour they'll be doing with the cup and everything. And then the real talk and the real business of preparing for next season as a football club, not just off the pitch, with Vinay coming in, hopefully Paratici. Hopefully it starts. But like I said, if he stays and I'll back him. If he goes, thank you, Ange, for giving me that memory. But hopefully Vinay and Paratici have a very, very strong hand on the rudder and will be making all of the footballing decisions apart from the man up top. And we see where we are. But like I said, Ange has given me a memory that I can never, ever, ever be could never be taken away from any of us.
Brian, so, before the final, you were very adamant that regardless of the result, you would have wanted him out.
Yep, I was.
For many weeks, you said, you were well aware he could have won the game. You were well aware he could have won the game. And you said, regardless of the result, you want him out. So, is it? Do you think what's been the change? What do you think's been the change in your thinking since that result has happened?
The change in me, like I said, I go back to when I say the 1991 FA Cup win. That emotion, the passion, the young kid at Christmas kind of feel. But what?
Do you think you underestimated what that feeling would be like?
Oh, 100%. Listen, it's been so, mate. It has been so long. Like we could talk about '99 and 2008, but I was too pissed to even know what day of the week it was when that was happening. 1991, not so much, but I remember that clearly. But it was after league games and league performances where I was really, really annoyed, like the Wolves one, specifically the Wolves one when I was there with Ben. But then I go back to that Frankfurt game where I think it was an incredible performance, our best performance in the old competition, a team effort. It showed he adapted, and it really did look like he had spinned off the league, whether people would have deemed that acceptable or not, with the injuries or whatever, but it did look like he went for it, and he did get it. No matter what we say, we had it with Conte and Mourinho that said, I always win, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they weren't backed up, before we go any further, if they weren't backed the way Conte's and Mourinho's were at other clubs. Mourinho was obviously sat before a final as well, which doesn't help. But Ange came up with this statement. The club stuck with him by hook or by crook, and he delivered on what he said. Even the staunchest Ange fan, I mean, you can't deny that he's got the trophy. And when you grow up and tell your kids, your grandkids, your work, family, whatever, that moment that ended a 17-year drought, 41 in Europe, is because of him and that team.
Right, Brian, do you think your head and your heart have got two different answers to what you actually want with Ange, though? And that's the problem that we're all going to have at the moment, because our heart is telling us, and especially us that went to the parade and everything like that, and just seeing it, that whole moment is saying, oh my God, what's this? But our head's actually telling us, because we were all Ange out before that final.
Yeah, all of us, not all of us.
Apart from some people next to me. But our head is still saying, is he the right man? And is that a mistake on our part to go, do we really trust ourselves? Because should our heart rule over our head is basically what I'm trying to ask.
Oh, so Simeon knows what I'm like when it comes to heart and head. Simeon will probably ask me if he got two buttons in a second.
Brian's got two hearts. He doesn't have a head. He's got a heart for a head.
No. Do you know what, mate? Do you know what? I think you're right there. I think you might listen, Marlon. Do you know what? That is a cracking question.
You don't have to answer it.
Mate, listen, I'll always answer the questions. Listen, like I said, the kid in me, what is definitely ruling my heart. Do you know what? Do you know what this comes to? It comes to, how is this man going to be backed in the summer? If it is him. Let's just say we went out, and this is just let's just say we went out and signed Eze in the next couple of weeks because we got Champions League money.
Yep.
With Ange, and then we went and signed just another player of stature that we've been linked with. You start thinking, okay, there's some real quality there. Then you start thinking, but Ange, obviously, again, like Simeon said, I don't think Ange is going to. We can't possibly lose 22 games.
No.
I think the biggest question about it, head and heart, Marlon, is like you were saying with the Ten Hag episode.
Yeah.
It's if it does go wrong, not saying it will.
Yeah.
Not saying it will and whatever. It's will Spurs pull the trigger? Will Spurs realise, or do they say, do you know what? Look what he did last season. He'll get the results eventually. It's a real tough one either way you look. But like I said, if he stays, I'll back him. I'm back on the train now, and I won't. This time I will not turn. And if they let him go, let's just hope it's not. If they let him go, let's just hope it's not another Nuno. Let's wait 75 days and waste a window. Blah blah blah. This is a huge couple of weeks off the pitch for the club.
Yeah,
they got to get all their ducks in a row, and actions speak louder than words. And let's hope this summer, this glorious summer of bathing in Arsenal tears and European glory, we see this club's actions speak louder than words.
17th for the Champions League next season, Brian. You taking it?
Well, last season I said I'll take 17th in the cup, didn't I? So
this is the thing.
I can't.
Brian, here's an interesting question. Here's an interesting question. How do we next season measure success? Because we finished 17th this year, right? Obviously, we're in the Champions League. So the only way improving on that Europa League would be winning that Champions League, wouldn't it? But I don't think anyone can sit here and expect us to be winning that Champions League. I think it's probably fair this season to probably expect us to at least go close. But we were one of the favourites for that Europa League, weren't we? So for you this season, when let's say Ange stays, how do we measure the barometer of success? Because anything in the league is going to be an improvement on where we are. So we can't really say just improve the league for me. It has to be certain tangible improvement, does it? But you can't expect this team to also go on a title challenge. So what do we expect next season in terms of improvement? What does that look like?
Sim, I've been asked this question. I'm sure loads of us and people in the pubs, blah blah. I've had this discussion and question. For me, next season, if I get my expectations are going to be get back into the top 8 of the league. Don't get me wrong. We've got Champions League money. Tottenham should be higher, but look at these teams this season that have done well. They're going to spend as well. Get back into the top 8, comfortably back into the top 8. Get out of the group stages in the Champions League and see where we go from there. And I badly want the FA Cup, as you know, Simeon. That cup has never, ever lost its magic for me and what it means to Tottenham Hotspur. And if someone had told me in 1991, it'll be 35 years if we get to the next final since we were in a final, let alone won the thing. Any fan of any English club would have said that's ridiculous in 1991 that Spurs wouldn't be in a final. I want that cup so badly. But that's the expert. I'm not going to budge from there. It's whatever it is. We're constantly rebuilding, as we always know. But we've now got a cup in the locker and a prestigious one at that. It is time to flex our muscles in the transfer market, but force our way back. We've got to learn to walk before we can run. We can't just go, we won the Europa League, we're going to be in the top 4 next year challenging. I'm not setting the expectations that high because whoever comes in charge, however much we spend, the other teams are just going to flex their financial muscle and we got to be realistic. So for me, top 8, get out of the group stage in the Champions League. And seriously, and it's very personal with me, the FA Cup. So that's why I hold it as in a massive requirement for me.
Yeah, but it's interesting you say that because if we finish top 8 next season and we don't get back in the Champions League after being in this season, that'll probably be seen as another step backwards, wouldn't it?
No, to be a Spurs fan. To be a Spurs fan on the roller coaster of life.
Yeah, I think we need to get back in that top 6 conversation next season. I think that's that top 6, top 5. I think if we're not there, I don't think Ange will last, to be honest, next season.
Well, that's again, yeah, that's again. But yeah, like I said, top 6 would be the optimum, wouldn't it? But I think you look at it, you look at that top 7, all right, Forest just fell short at the end and they trailed off. But Newcastle are going to be able to flex them. All the others will flex. City will rebuild everything. And we have to take this opportunity with this cup in the bag, Champions League football being offered, to finally start bringing in the players in and paying the wages. Obviously, people like Timo will be off the wage bill, and whoever does leave, let's use it to actually pay the wages to bring these players in, because all of the waiting that we've had, whether it be the stadium, Champions League, what we said earlier, they're all there.
All right, Brian.
They're all there. Plus the Europa League money we've just inherited and the Champions League money incoming. So we've got to take advantage of this absolute gift we've been given again into Champions League football.
All right, Brian. Lovely to see you as always, mate. Thank you for
always
calling
a pleasure,
in.
guys.
Brian.
Everyone have a great summer.
Brian.
Speak to you soon, Marlon. We're doing stuff over the summer.
Okay.
See you later, Pete.
Bye-bye. Brian. That was Brian Daigle, who has flipped.
He's
happy for Ange to stay.
But everyone's going to flip. I think most people.
Well, not by reading the chat. I wouldn't think so.
No, but if they're looking at it, they're just not enjoying the cup. That's all it is, and I don't get it. They're saying some people saying we're not Spurs fans, and I'm like going, but I just want a trophy, mate. I'm that's what I wanted.
Exactly.
So it's interesting. And it's interesting that people still booed Levy, because I have to look. I'm a Levy out, but he deserves credit for this trophy.
Well, he didn't sack Ange, did he?
No,
he didn't. He didn't sack him, and Ange ended up winning him.
For the first time ever, when we go profit over glory, he actually flipped it this time and went for the glory over profit. It's really strange thing to say, and it's like, what the hell? That's why this season makes no sense. There's a lot of things that happen this season that make no sense. But let's get another guest on.
All right, Will. Let's get Will. He's waiting patiently. Hi, Will. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Hi, can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah,
hear you all good.
All good.
Cool.
Yeah, look, and we've lost our 22nd game of the season today. We do end the season in 17th. But we have that Europa League trophy to look back on this season as one of the best days I think all Tottenham fans can remember. So how are you currently feeling with the whole situation?
I really don't care about today, to be honest. I don't get why some of the first team players were playing. You should have just put the kids on, give them some minutes in the Premier League. But yeah, I don't care about today. Absolutely buzzing about the Europa League. I just wanted to come on and give a thing about people that have lost people this year. I know you have with your granddad. I lost my granddad as well. And anyone that has lost someone that was a Spurs fan, how much it means to them is just amplified like 1,000-fold. So yeah, just a little bit to say about that.
Thank you. What was your grandpa's name?
My grandpa is called Andy. He used to, when Bill Nicholson was in charge, he ran a sweet shop on White Hart Lane.
Really?
Bill Nicholson would go in there and have a coffee with him sometimes.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And you lost him this year?
Yeah, I lost him early April. Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, man, but I'm sure he was like my grandpa. I felt, so many people as well were coming up to me in Bilbao saying, your grandpa's here with us today. I can feel it. We're going to win that trophy for him. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That's really beautiful. And I'm sure he would have absolutely loved, what happened on Wednesday. And I'm sure those are the moments he remembers, right? He doesn't remember all the different league finishes, but those moments, lifting trophies, being with family and all those, and celebrating together, those I'm sure the moments that stick with you.
Yeah. It's just a shame that he didn't get to see it. But I believe that everyone was there behind the team, and those special moments that we saw in those games where it really mattered. Where I look at it, I believe that those people that have sadly passed on were influencing it in some way. That's just how I feel. A bit like Field of Glory, but not as cheesy.
Yeah, 100. I completely agree, 100%. In terms of Ange Postecoglou, the manager, how have you felt with him during the season, and how do you feel about him now? Has anything changed? Have you stuck by him, and how do you feel about him going into next season?
I feel during the season he has been stubborn, but when it mattered, he has changed his ways.
I agree with that.
When it's actually mattered, he has tried to implement a different way, and we're so lucky and proud that it worked on Wednesday. Do I feel that the team should have performed a little bit better than it should have this year? 100%. But we did have a lot of injuries. We were playing a lot of kids. That might be a recruitment issue, but hopefully this summer we can get some experience. And knowing Daniel Levy, experience might mean that he's trying to get Luka Modric on a free.
Not that much experience, hopefully. But did you feel like, in the trophy parade, he said season 3 is better than season 2. Do you believe him?
I think the way he says things just makes you believe, doesn't it?
And that's the important thing, isn't it? Not even necessarily that it's true. It's if the players believe it, that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. He has got to be the most motivational manager, most motivational speaker I have seen at this club. Maybe Harry Redknapp's close.
Yeah.
But he was more of a Del Boy.
Yeah.
I think that especially since he said, I always win in my second year, and he came through on it, that statement about season 3 makes me believe even more. And I hope with all my heart that it's true. But if it's not, we've got another rebuild.
Tell me something. If Ange does stay, what does improve? What is progression next season for you? Because with 17th in the Europa League this season, the only way to improve on that technically is Champions League, because that's the only way to improve on a Europa League trophy, really. So we can't really actually expect to win that Champions League, though. So, for you, what would be an acceptable season next season for Ange?
Make it out of the group stage, make it out of the league phase of the Champions League. Even getting to the playoff round would be good for us, I think, and getting through that. Top 6, I think, is top 8 is obvious. Anything better than this season in the league's an improvement. But I think top 6 or top 8 is doable. And a deep run in the FA Cup.
Yeah, is it a case of just we have to go for top 6 in it and a trophy again?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
it already puts it's almost like already puts the pressure on him so much because we won that trophy. It's almost like if we just get top 4 next season, it's going to seem like a bit of a disappointment.
If we hadn't won the trophy, just say we hadn't won the trophy and we finished 17th and we didn't sack Ange. Okay, I know it's highly unlikely. What would be the realistic expectations for next season if there was no trophy?
Well, we'd have less money, so I'd say top half.
Top half. Okay.
Yeah, literally, the rebuild will go. I think Ange said after the trophy, after that win, we've got a big opportunity now, to really accelerate the progression, get some more experience in the squad. What kind of signings are you looking at in the summer to really take the squad up to another level?
Sorry?
What kind of signings are you thinking that are really going to take this squad to another level, do you think?
I want an experienced midfielder. It doesn't have to be mega experienced, but I want someone who's done it in a couple of countries, played in a couple of countries, not one, but played to a good level in a couple of countries. I want a better striker. Dominic Solanke works so hard, but if I said Darren Bent, are they not comparable?
I guess they're kind of different kind of players, but I see what you're saying. He's
he's
a good striker, but is he in that top bracket?
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, we're going to go backwards after Kane. But you know what I mean. So I'd either want a young striker that can develop and challenge Solanke. Maybe we're not getting Sesko. Name picked out for my head. Someone fast like Kareem Konate, maybe.
Will, quick question on that, because obviously you mentioned Solanke. If we brought in any striker, do you think, like, say we did bring in any striker, say we brought in Gyökeres for instance, do you think he'd struggle at Spurs because actually our wingers don't actually supply our strikers as much as they should compared to when you see what Solanke was getting at Bournemouth?
Yeah. Yeah, we need a proper winger that can cross the ball as well. Yeah, we've got a big job on our hands this summer. Lots of money spent. I can see a few players going out that we might be sad about, but at the end of the day, as long as the squad improves, we can only go up from where we are at the moment.
All right, Will, thanks for calling in, mate. Cheers for giving us your time, and we'll speak to you soon.
See ya.
Ange was asked how he assesses this season, and he said outstanding. He said we got Champions League football.
Bold piss there.
He said we got Champions League football and we got a trophy. He said ask any Tottenham fan at the beginning of the season if they would have taken that. He said I'm pretty sure every single one would have.
Do you know what? We would have, but I don't think any of us could take the pain of what finishing 17th was really about, and that's the bit that we have to ask.
Yeah, but what was more, the pain of the 17th or the joy of the trophy?
I was here Wednesday, so I'm going to say that trophy lift was excellent.
Yes, there's been a lot of pain, but
mate, I deserved that trophy.
That trophy,
I deserved it. Not you lot. I deserved it.
Marco Silva has confirmed he's going to stay at Fulham next season. The decision's been made, and I will stay at Fulham. Well, obviously, he's been talking about Tottenham.
He weren't coming here.
Well, that was the rumours.
They weren't coming here.
I'm saying if he's out of the question, the options are dwindling, aren't they? Wow. But he's saying, I'm staying at Fulham. The decision has been made. Let's get 6-yard box on. Come on.
Hello.
hello. How are we doing today? You're mute. Oh, no, you're good.
Hello, guys. You all right?
Hello. Yes. Look, it's the end of a season today. We've lost another game. We have finished 17th, but we do have that Europa League trophy in the bag. How are you feeling after all the season's said and done? How are you feeling?
I'm really disappointed in Ange, to be honest. Can't believe he's done this to us, man. Finishing 17th and getting a cup we've been dying for almost 40 years. Generations of fans, they don't even know what a cup looks like. How dare they did that to us? And he even promised us. He said, "I deliver." He promised us this beautiful cup. And he gave it to us. He's a man. He needs to go. He has to go. He's gotta leave tonight. What are people talking about, man? To be honest, man, I don't understand fans, man. People are going on about 20 before it was 19 defeats. Oh, this is the worst defeat. Then 21. Oh, this is the worst defeat ever. Then 22. Oh, what are we talking about here, man? Come on, let's get a grip, man. This guy said he was going to give us something we've never had. Generations have never seen this thing happen. We get bantered from pillar to post. We are the front of everybody. Anytime when their team lose a game, they go, "Oh, let me go and pick on Tottenham." We don't win trophies. We get what do you call it? We get immune to it as well. Even we make fun of ourselves. We go, "Oh yeah, we're not going to win anything." Leading up to this cup, you listen to people. Everyone was saying, "Oh, we're going to lose against Frankfurt." Mm-hmm. We won that one. Bodo Glimt, artificial pitch and all that kind of stuff. We got to the finals. When if you want to build something, it's going to go two ways. Sometimes it's going to go two ways. It's going to take time, and it's going to be painful, especially at a club like Tottenham. The way we do our finances, the way we sign players, the way we try and cut corners, it is what it is. But you still have to find a way within the chaos to be successful. And that's what this manager's done. January, we were dying for players. We didn't sign players until a day before the transfer window closes. We got players in like down, so players that have not even played any games. We threw them in. We had 3 months of players being out, about 12 players being out, and he decided, okay, you know what? Let me just give this club something they've been dying for. We could have finished 4th. We could have finished 10th. We could have finished 7th. People will still they will come out and ask the same question. What have you won in the last 40 years? And you can see everybody's gone silent because before today anyway. But now, if they ask you that question now, you can tell them they're gonna make it difficult and say, oh yeah, you've lost 22. People keep going on about that 22 game, without talking about the cup that goes with it. Because if you had lost 22 games without those cups, then I could understand what people are saying. But a season is all about cups and your league positions. And for Tottenham this season, that cup is more important than anything because you want to build a winning culture. That's all you want to do. And for you to do that, you can talk all the 4-4-2, 3-4-2, 5-4-2, 5-5-5 tactics all you like until you put that cup on that table and the players can look at it and say, okay, we believe in this manager now. Nobody likes losing. I don't like losing. But we have to put it into context of this season. We've delivered a cup which we've been dying for God knows when. So, everything else for me, everybody, you can have your own opinion and be crying what you want about 22 defeats. What do you get for 22 defeats? What do you get? Do they put an asterisk next to the position 17th on the league, or they say 22 defeats, or they put 22 in highlights, or they give it colors, or I don't know. What do you, at the end of the season, it's the end of the season. That's it. The season is done. We've got a cup at the end of this season. We move on next year.
And for you, Ange said season 3 is going to be better than season 2. What do you think that looks like? How in terms of how do we judge him next season? Considering this season, we know that we're very likely to be better than 17th. We know that next season. I hope so anyway. But given that we won that Europa League this season, how do you see next season being better?
No, for me, I won't be surprised because Ange could still walk anyway. Because if he goes into that summer, just before the summer, we're signed, and he's not getting the signings he wants, and he's got the feeling that okay, I'm not going to be able to deliver what I want. If I was him, I'll just walk. To be honest, because everything comes down to the way we sign players, the board. That's what it comes down to. You could bring in any manager. It still comes down to what the board are trying to do, because they know, okay, we've won this cup now. We're in a position of power now. We can go out, get players for get a bit of quality, a bit of experience into the team. And Ange says something. He said it that okay, season 3 is better than season 2, but hopefully he said that just to let the board know that I want to do more. I don't just want to do this just by winning this cup. I want to go for the bigger trophies. I want to go for Champions League. That's what I want to go for. Poch was one of our best managers, did really well, finished 2nd, 3rd. He still didn't win anything. And everybody keeps saying that to us. Oh, with all your nice football, everything you were doing then, you still didn't win a cup. And at Tottenham, it's difficult to go for both trophies, to be competitive in everything. It's very difficult at Tottenham because the way we go about signing players, building our squads. Look at Ben Davies. He's been perfect for this club, but he shouldn't be our backup centre back. Let's be honest. He shouldn't. We all know Van der Ven gets injured. Hopefully that's a little bit behind him now. But we need proper backups, man. We need players that for me personally, the problem is our defense. If you sort our defense out, we'll be good. But it comes down to the board at the end of the day.
All right. 6-yard box. Thanks for calling in, mate. Appreciate your call.
Thank you, boys.
Always good to have you come on.
I'll speak to you soon.
Come on, you Spurs, man.
Come on, you Spurs. Some interesting quotes from Postecoglou in his press conference. I'll just read a few of them. He said, "I'll be honest, I've been finding it really weird talking about my future when we've done something unprecedented. I've got to answer the questions because nobody else is in a position to do so. Part of me is thinking, why am I here being asked the question? I've got no doubt, though, that this could be a really defining moment for this club. Wherever I've been, I've made an impact for a club after they haven't tasted it for a while, and they push on even after I've gone." And he said on the transfer window, "We can push on if we do get some good experience in the transfer window with experienced players. I'm not talking age so much as experience at this level. Every club that gets in Champions League sees it as a chance to strengthen with players who are comfortable at that level, not stepping up to that level." And on Romero, he said, "I think Romero is absolutely important to keep at this football club. You just saw the way he's been in recent games, and he hasn't been entirely fit with his toe. The lads respect him highly, and he makes them walk taller. For me, it's a no-brainer with players like him. If he goes, who do you replace him with? There aren't a lot of players out there like him. It's very important to keep him here for the long term."
Yeah, he's gone.
You think so?
Yeah, that's him gone. That's I'm just saying, if I stay, please keep him. But he knows he's gone.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're saying about Romero. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours flying around about Romero at the moment. Maybe that's his plea to try and get him to convince him to stay. And I agree. If we do replace him, who do we replace him with? It's very, very tough.
I think he's already been replaced. That's the problem. It's more Van de Ven's replacement that I think.
What do you mean he's already been replaced?
So, QT, this is Yeah. I think Danso and Dragusin are the ones they're going to go with.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, Dragusin. Well, I guess.
Well, we're not going to get we have to be honest here. We're not going to get the quality of Romero in the summer in the window, no matter what. Romero is. I know a lot of people don't like him, but at the same time, he's a World Cup winner. We're not going to get that again. Not right now. Just because of where we finished and everything that's happened. Yes, we got him when we weren't in the Champions League, but are those sort of defenders out there right now that we can go and get? That's the question. It's going to be down, if Paratici is coming back, it's going to be down to him whether he's got a gem, but he's the one I still believe that brought Dragusin in. Maybe, so I think for Spurs right now, they're looking at Dragusin and Danso as the two right-sided, and it'd be Van de Ven and one other.
All right, let's bring on Darth. Let's see what he has to say. Hello, Darth. How are you doing today,
What's
mate?
up, boys?
Where are you calling from?
I'm doing good. How about
you playing golf or something? What are you
North.
doing?
No, I'm just chilling in the backyard, man. Front porch sitting.
Looks like a golf course behind you. That's how good it looks.
Big front yard there. Nice going, mate. Nice going.
Oh, yeah. Enjoying the garden.
Tell me about your feelings at the moment with the situation with the club. A lot of people saying 22 defeats. Whatever happened in the Europa League on Wednesday, and however happy we are, we have to change manager now for next season. Or do you think this manager is the one who's broken the hoodoo? 17 years out trophy. He's the one who's delivered it. The squad are behind him. We have to keep him. How are you sitting?
I've loved how the season's gone. Honestly, I love Ange. I'm with you, Sam. I've been Ange all season. It's just, I might just be biased, but I love Ange. And there's one weird thing that I hear a lot in like the British media, the way they talk about soccer. They use the word deserved a lot. And to me, I just felt like this season is exactly like we've gotten exactly what we deserved. Because I remember that day that Pochettino got fired and the club announced that Mourinho got hired. I remember thinking to myself, the club just sold their soul because they were listening to those fans screaming, I don't care about, top four. I don't care about that. I just want a trophy. But we all know that prize money for being in the Champions League is huge. And so I remember that day thinking, oh God, it's going to be 5-6 years. Mourinho's going to ruin the club, and maybe eventually we'll get back to something. And so whenever they hired Ange and they hired somebody that wanted to play that attractive attacking football, that wanted to go out there and just win the game by outscoring your opponent. Like you don't like that to me is more important, is, scoring the goals, entertaining the fans. It's more important than, keeping a clean sheet. So I loved it. I love how the season's gone. I'm super happy that we finally got that trophy, because I'm tired of hearing Sky Sports and all these people talking about, Spursy, and they don't ever win anything. So I'm just super happy that they finally got a trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we kick on now to next season in the Champions League? It's going to be tough, isn't it, to kind of cope, considering this season had its big challenges, and have finished 17th. So, if fans are skeptical that Ange can juggle Champions League and Premier League based off this season, is that not fair?
No, absolutely. Levy's got to spend the money. We got to get some players in to improve the squad. I understand the whole getting the young players and developing them. So there has been a couple of good signings, but they definitely need to spend the money, get a couple of good players, not 30. Whenever you look at the total net spend, Tottenham they've spent the money, but instead of buying one really good player for 60, 70, they're buying 25, 30, 30, 30, 30. They end up spending, about the same amount of money, but they don't get the same quality of players. And so they really need to sign just one or two really top quality to really bring them up another level. But for me, the big objective is to try to stay in Europe. If we do pretty good, obviously, the goal is, top 4, top 5. You want to stay in the Champions League. But for me to be happy with next season is to get back, stay in Europe, whether it be Europa League or Champions League. But they need to stay in Europe, so that way I can keep watching them 2 times a week.
Would you take 17th and a trophy next season?
Absolutely. The league form doesn't bother me at all. It really doesn't, because I'm from North Carolina. There's not many Spurs fans here in North Carolina, but I have one friend back in October. I remember the day. We were talking about how the season's going so far, and this was back whenever we were like 8th, 9th, 10th place in the league. And he said, we're going to get relegated, but we're going to win the Europa League. And I thought to myself, I would love that, because that would be, to me, I thought, hey, that would be the most Spursy thing ever, to have a championship side in the Champions League. And so as the season's gone on, I'm like, holy cow, Scott, you called it. Like, we were in that relegation battle. So, and I just remember just hearing the Tottenham fans from, the years back. I feel like a few months ago on this channel, I heard someone, it was like that discussion of would you take 10th in a trophy? Yeah. Would you take 12th? Well, maybe, pushing it, 14th, 15th, 17th. It doesn't matter. We're not relegated. We're still in the Premier League. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you land 8th or 17th. Either way, you're still, here in America, we don't have the relegation. And so you can have teams that'll just tank. I think it's just maybe the way that we're just kind of used to it, because the season's so long, whenever the injuries hit, it for us and, other sports, take basketball, football, you name it, you lose your starters to injury, the season's over with. And so the fact that because the season's so long and that we actually had time to get players back, and actually we're still in competitions and we still had that chance to win it. I never lost faith, but I would go into those games knowing, oh, we're going to lose this. And yes, it doesn't make it easy. Yeah. Yes, it still sucks, but you just accept it. You move on. But I would absolutely, I'm so happy that they just can't keep using the whole Spurs don't ever win anything. Cause there's, like I said, there's not too many soccer fans around here, and most of them are either Man U or they're Chelsea fans because Pulisic. And that was one player that I really wanted Tottenham to sign years ago. And I hate that he went to Chelsea. And I thought that Daniel Levy really missed out on an opportunity there, because if they signed Christian, I mean, they would have sold thousands and thousands of Pulisic jerseys And so I'm just happy that they can't keep beating us over the head with the whole they don't ever win anything. So absolutely, I'd take the trophy in 17th.
Darth, thanks for calling in, mate. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys.
See you soon, mate. Thanks for calling in, Darth. That was Darth. He would take 17th in a trophy as well. Let's get Andy on. Yes, Andy. Good to see you, Andy. How are you doing?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good. Look.
What's happened since the last time we spoke?
Nothing much. We're just the European champions. How are you feeling at the moment, Andy, with the whole situation? Because after today, we have finished 17th. We did lose another heavy defeat. Not a surprise, given a lot of all the drinking all the players did between Wednesday and tonight, and how they were enjoying that trophy win. But as a club, should we be saying, look, 17th is unacceptable, and regardless of that trophy, we can't allow this to carry on? Or is it a case of that trophy might just be the spark that catches fire for this team, and maybe this is something worth fighting for?
So winning breeds winning, right? Winners tend to win more. We had 17 years of figuring out what the opposite to that is, and winners do tend to breed more winners. And once players get a taste of winning, they want more winning, and they understand what it takes to do it. And the way our guys did it was hard. They didn't do it by blasting anybody up. They did it by graft, by Van der Ven doing acrobatics on the 1 yard, on 1 foot from the goal line. They spent 45 minutes under siege, maybe 50 minutes under siege from Man United. They did it hard. So they kind of know what it is to win and to do it hard. And maybe we can just do it a little bit easier next time, right? But I've got to say, on January, I think you might know what I'm about to say. On January 6th of this year, I was talking to you and your brother.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, I remember.
I said to him these words. I said, Ben, would you be okay with the Europa League and 17th? Because I would. And he said, that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. That's disgraceful. And I said, well, I think there's a chance that we might end up doing it. And I'll be absolutely happy about that. I mean, winning breeds winning. And like Darth just said, if you're outside 8th, I don't care if you're 17th. The difference between, I looked into it, the difference between, say, 7th and 8th and 17th is about £25 million, right? Winning the Europa League is 35 million, I think it is, right? So we're basically, from a financial standpoint, the equivalent of finishing, 6th or 7th. So, I really don't care. I wanted to win something. We can stick it up Arsenal's nose, right? They haven't won anything for 5 years, right? We've won 4 European trophies, 5 of them Europa League, 1 Cup Winners' Cup. That's a lot, right? We can now forget about 17 years. We can just say, hey, we just win loads of European Cups and we are a top team. Tough times. What I love about what we went through this season, especially, is tough times make the good times feel a lot better as well. If you talk to a Manchester City fan and they just win a whole bunch of stuff all the time, the winning doesn't feel quite as good, and the losing feels god awful, right? Mm-hmm. For us, the losing feels god awful, but the winning feels so much better right now. And I want to feel that a few more times. I want to get that under the belt, and then I want to feel like Manchester City. I want to, I don't want to feel so great when we're winning stuff, But I heard this. I don't know if you guys heard this. I think it was reported on CBS because that was what the European Cup was broadcast on. But apparently in February, right after the transfer market closed, there was a discussion with the management team and Ange about whether or not they should focus on the cup or the league, right? And Ange decided we're focusing on the cup, we're not focusing on the league.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there was a bit of a split in the management. When I say management, I'm talking about the the board and the internal management of the club. Apparently, a good number of them thought that was the wrong thing to do, but a good number of them thought that it was the right thing to do. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think? If Levy was in there, I don't think that's a good idea. Would Ange have had survived by March?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue yes because of his record with managers previously and what he's done. Unless, on this occasion he decided he was by hook or by crook, he was just going to go in a different direction regardless, just because maybe to take the heat off himself because of the rising protests and everything. And maybe he felt if I keep Ange in charge, I don't know, he can take the flak. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's why he kept him. I just felt like he wanted to try and keep some sort of consistency as much as he could at this right now, because we've just chopped and changed so much that I don't know if he wanted to do the same again.
Let me give you more of my conspiracy theory with this. So let's say Levy was like, Ange, I'm with you. Let's do this. We'll go and win the cup, right? And let's say that was the discussion. And then they decided, okay, we're going to use the Premier League to get those injured players that were still injured well into February, and then we got some others. But let's say those injured players that we had, there was one point that we had 11 or 12 first-team players injured for like 2 months, right? So let's say in February they started coming back, and we know, look at Madison, these injuries, sometimes these guys take 2 or 3 months to get back up to speed. So let's say they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And they said, Premier League is going to be where we're going to be blooding the youngsters, really getting some time into the legs of the youngsters, having a look at Mateus Tell, and using those Premier League games to get our starting guys back up to speed so we can really get into the Europa League in March and April and May, right? It makes a lot of sense to me that happened. And if that did happen, and Levy was in on it and agreed to it, and Ange actually got it done and got him into the Champions League, there's no way Ange is getting let go.
100%.
No way, because Levy would be like, good job, buddy. And he's all the head and all the angry stuff that you saw when they panned to Levy, and he's like, I'm almost certain, if that theory is true, that he's just like pissed off with all of the angry guys out there. I've been called a happy clapper by a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of numpty Tottenham fans. You know how I feel about half the fan base. The happy clapper. Yeah, I'm a happy clapper. I am a happy clapper now, and I'm very happy, and I'm clapping. And those of you that say happy clapper, go suck one, because you're a bunch of angry, bitter, upset, nasty people that I just don't like. I am very happy to say that I'm happy, and I'd rather see the positive of things. And if that was the decision that Ange did at the end of February, and I think the reason why I did it, if those angry, bitter fans want something to hold on to, I think the reason why that decision was made was because Ange looked at how he was backed in January and said, holy shit, they're not coming to my aid.
Right.
They're bringing nothing, right? So we got Danzo, we got the kid from Korea, and we got
Yang and Tell,
and we got two other youngsters. We got Pinsky right at the beginning of the transfer, and we got Tell right at the end. And that's not backing towards trying to get into a better position in the Premier League and winning a cup. So Ange had to go, okay, here's my resources. This is what I have. How am I going to do this? And that's what I think happened. And, ultimately it worked out, and if they sack him, and here's the thing to really think about, if they sack him, and all of you, and I'm going to very gladly call myself a happy clapper if everybody else who's not a happy clapper is called a bitter, angry asshole, right? So for the bitter, angry assholes, if we sack him right now, right, what is that telling the players that obviously love him? They think a lot of him. What is that also telling European managers who might be taking his place? That, hey, even after somebody wins a major cup, this isn't the Carabao Cup. This is a major cup, right? So after somebody finally wins a major cup for Tottenham, they still sack him. Do I want to go there? Quite frankly, I don't think I would. I think you're learning that it's a hiding to nothing. And with the behavior of half of the fan base, which I think is most of the time pretty rough, if you think of how they treated Brennan Johnson, right? How they treated even some of the players that have gone, how they ran out of town Trippier, how they got on all the different things that they didn't like. They just they get on top of. There's not a lot of support. There's a reason, I believe, why the stadium has become a place where we lose. It's because there's this fickle fan base, right? And we need to get together. We all need to be happy clappers right now, and we need to believe. And I think if we hold on to those things, and Ange is backed in the third season, I feel like the team that we have is really tight. The team that we have, I think that probably been going through this gauntlet of the whole Premier League season, which was really, really rough, has probably brought them really tightly together. And then to cap it off with a win, I don't think you could get a tighter team that probably will fight tooth and nail for each other more than what you have right now. And then basically, just to summarize kind of what I wanted to say is, this season just gone, we brought in 6 inexperienced players, right? 6 guys under the age of 22 and 2 experienced players. One of them who's a backup, Danso, right? That's not backing a manager, right? That's not changing it. There was a lot of players that went out cleaning the sheds, so to speak. If they do what, I think Darth is probably on it a little bit. If we get 3 really good players, just 3 really good experienced players, right? Maybe a defender, maybe a midfielder, maybe an attacking player, right? But if we just get 3, put that into the mix of the talented youngsters that we have, I think we'll go a long way to going to where we want to be. And in reality, at that point, if Ange doesn't finish in the top 8 and challenging for cups again, and if he's also doesn't really improve that home record and turn Tottenham Hotspur Stadium into a fortress, I think probably at that point we probably need to let him go, right? Because we give him a shot. He won us a cup. Thank you very much. Hey, we finished 12th and we lost a whole bunch of games at home. I'm pretty much happy at that point to let him go. But previous to him joining Tottenham, do you know what Ange's streak was for home wins?
No.
It was about 33. So he broke it like a 33 streak of home wins. That's in Celtic. I don't know if he lost a game at home at Celtic. Now, granted, Scottish League, right? Whatever. He's playing with the players that he has. But if he could just turn that on, right? Imagine if we don't lose at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How many games would we lose?
That'd be miraculous.
Right. But let's say we did that. And let's say we have a spotty, similar kind of record to this year, away, but we win all of our home games, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. My standards will still be high for him, and if he doesn't get that stuff done, I'll probably say, hey, it's time to move on at this stage. But if
what would be progression then next season for us?
Top 8 and a much improved home record. And challenging.
So if we don't win a trophy and finish top 8, do you think that would fans be happy with that?
As long as we're not getting knocked out in the group stage of the Champions League, as long as we're challenging for the cups, we get into the playoffs, we get into the maybe the semis, or a final. That shows that we're starting to challenge, right? We're starting to compete, and especially if we do it in the Premier League. If we finish top 8, maybe let's say 5th, and we go deep into the Champions League, and we go deep into, say, the FA Cup, that's starting to show me that maybe the depth of the squad is getting righted, that maybe we can compete on multiple fronts. This year we couldn't. This year we had to choose one or the other. we had to choose whether or not we wanted to finish in the top half of the league, because I think that was all we were going to do when he made that decision, or win a cup, and he chose win a cup. So, anyway,
but do you not think a lot of fans, if we were to finish 8th or a no trophy, would see that as just a step backwards?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot. There's some that think that now, right? There's some Tottenham fans. I hate to say it, and I'm glad that maybe some people might hear this, that they are not happy, whatever happens. That they will fight, like they might win the Premier League, and there's some fans, will be a very small group, but I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they'll still exist. That will still not be happy because certain things weren't done. The game wasn't. We didn't play the kind of football that I wanted to see. We didn't do this. I've heard it all during Mourinho, when Mourinho was doing great. Oh, this is good, but man, I really don't like the way we're playing. Right? I mean, to be honest, there's a certain group of the fan base that there is no winning them over. They're always going to be angry. They're always going to be, what was it? The bitter, I won't say asshole anymore. I'll say the bitter, angry fan. There's just no helping them. And they're very entitled. They believe that they should be Manchester City. Well, that's not going to happen. We're not. I'm actually kind of proud that we have a club that's financially very solid, and owned, English owned, British owned, and aren't getting basically whole countries wealth funds dumped into them, right? We're if we can get to where we want to be, that kind of looks a little bit more like the Liverpool model to me, right? And granted, Liverpool's owned by Americans, but they're not dumping huge amounts of cash into that club. And I like that. I like that we're doing it maybe a little bit more of a harder way. You can go out there, I guess, and buy stuff. And the way the Tottenham's financials are going, if we had, say, a Qatari Emirate or some super wealthy billionaire come in and just start dumping money in, they could spend the money because we've got a lot of room to spend. But there's a little bit of pride that I have that we've done it the way we have. Now, would I like it better? Yes. Would I like them to spend more money? Yes. I wouldn't say no. But the fact that we haven't and we still have won a cup makes that cup feel even better. You know what I mean? Not that I want it to be that way all the time. I'd love Elon Musk to maybe come in and buy it.
Well, yeah, one step at a time, hopefully. But no, I agree. Like, for me, I think what this cup win will do for this squad and these players, the manager, and how the belief in the manager, especially him saying that quote at the beginning of the season, he always wins something in his second season, and following through, will just, and also the fact that he said it after the win. He said, I told them to make sure they celebrate, enjoy, and celebrate this cup, because next time when I tell them to run through a wall for me, they'll do it. And I think he's got them. He's got this squad where he wants them. He's got in terms of a lot of the fans' belief at the moment, it's starting to turn more positively, I think, again, after that win. We have broken that trophy hoodoo. It's massive for the club. And I think also there would be lessons learned, I like to think. People seem to think, we're 17th this season, so if he stays, we'll be 17th again next season. Well, it doesn't always work like that. That's not how football works. Things change. People learn.
I think you're right. I think if we let him go now, let's say we fired him now, all we have is the cup, which isn't a small thing. It's a massive thing, right? But that is all we have. If we keep him, we have the cup and we have some progression of hopefully where we want to be. We also have a team that's right behind. It's not like the team ever gave up on him. And that's usually the biggest sign, right? That the team starts phoning it in and they're not supporting their manager. So the team's right behind him. The team's really, really tight. They've won before. They've felt it before. If we get rid of him, all of that kind of goes away or is diminished, and we just have the cup. So I would like to give him, I'm going to be, if he's really starting to struggle in October, I might be going, okay, hey, look, this is 3 years in a row that you really haven't got your head around the Premier League. Maybe we need to start looking at something else. Definitely by the end of the year, if things are looking rough. But I really do believe I'm probably even more so than you, Sim. I'm probably more on the lines of this injury season where you wiped out 11 of your starters and you had to play all those little kids that you signed up. I don't know any team that does well. Wasn't it like 3 years ago that Liverpool lost a couple of guys and Van Dijk, and they finished like 5th or 6th, Liverpool, right? That was just like it was like 3 major injuries. We had 11 at one stage. And then you've got to get those guys back into form. They don't stop being injured and then start playing like world beaters. They take, maybe if you're lucky, you might take 6 weeks before they start playing well, right? So, and now, like today, I've been seeing in the comments and so forth, going, "Oh, look at how they played today." I'm like, these guys are hungover. Are all hungover. That's why they played pretty well in the first half. In the second half, they were done. Right? I tell you what, if I was 24 again, the way I used to drink when good things happened, I wouldn't have been seeing that pitch.
100%. I'm surprised a few of them were. There's a few like Brennan. I don't know how Brennan's still standing, but
I just think as Tottenham fans, let's love what we have. Let's support the team. Let's be happy clappers because we have a lot to clap about and we have a lot to be happy about. And let's support the team and see what happens. And that doesn't mean we just give them carte blanche to do whatever he wants next year. It does mean, however, that we get in behind it and we stop whining. I mean, it almost sounds like Arsenal fans. Don't be an Arsenal fan. They haven't won anything in
5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And those guys whine and complain and bitch and moan. I mean, Arteta took 3 years before he started coming around. Right? And he still hasn't really come around, but I guess the league form's better. So here's a question for you guys, and I'll leave it at this so some of the other guys can chat. Would you rather be in Arsenal's position where they're constantly in the top 3 but win nothing, or would you be happy to win the Europa League and be in the Champions League next year and finish 17th?
Well, for this season, I think us for sure. I guess it's 2 different questions. Like, because we had the same thing, didn't we? When we were under Pochettino and we were riding high and we were in title challenges and Champions League finals and all that kind of stuff. And Arsenal were the ones, mid-table and winning an FA Cup here and there, but still, not a very good team. They always used to say, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything you're doing that. Look, we're still winning trophies and you're not winning anything." That's what used to happen. But we used to say, "Yeah, but we're in a better position. We're in a look where we are. We're a better team, and the trophies will come." That's the belief. The success of the trophies will come if we keep playing at the level we're playing. The problem is it never happened for us. So all of a sudden that era comes and goes, and you've got nothing to show for it. And that's what the Arsenal should be worried about and should be fearful of. That era will come. They're riding high at the moment in terms of league and how good of it. Look, and don't get twisted. They're a good team. I know they're a good team. And they've got a good manager. But if they don't win anything, that era will come and go, and they'll have nothing to show for it because that's how football works.
As a fan, what feels better?
Winning a trophy, I think. And they're not having it. I don't see them having any parades. They're not having a parade.
Exactly. That feel good that's still going and is probably going to go through the whole summer. Until we lose against Arsenal, I'm going to keep this feeling, if I'm honest.
We've got a Super Cup coming up. Exactly.
Probably against PSG, right? I'm thinking. So, I would much rather be where I am. I've got to say this too. Ange I'm a New Zealander, live in the United States, right? New Zealanders, Australians have very similar mentalities when it comes to sport. That's why the All Blacks do what they do. That's why the Australian cricket team does what they do and rugby league and so forth. They like winning and they win. And it's a mentality. And it's a mentality this club's missed. And it's hard to generate. It's hard to create. And you need someone who knows how to do it and is single-mindedly confident that they will do it. And I think we have that in Ange, right? We really, truly do. Whether you hate him or not, whether you think he's full of shit or not, he believes it. And he likes to win and he knows how to win. And I think
the players need to believe it.
And I think he's now creating that with those players. Not very many people in the whole club have that, right? So now we have this winning mentality. Let's push on. Let's not just scrap it because of, I finished 17th. It would have been so much better if I finished 12th. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, man, it's good to see you. I hope
Andy,
you're doing
lovely
well.
to see you, mate.
I know Ben. I think Ben owes me a dinner.
He does.
Remember
He
that?
does indeed. You have to come and claim it.
All right,
He owes you a dinner.
I will come over and I will enjoy that.
I'm sure you will.
Shut up. I won't say a word and I'll just eat it and look in his eyes.
Fantastic. Nice one, Andy.
Right.
It's good to see you, mate. Some more interesting quotes coming out from Ange. Read them quickly. It says, Postecoglou, you know my gut feeling. My gut feeling is I feel right now I've done something that no one else believed I could, and I shouldn't be sitting here talking about my future. That is my feeling, but it is what it is. As I said, I am and probably am talking now because I'm tired, mate. I have to talk about another game, and I just want to go on a break and enjoy my family and reflect on being part of something unbelievably special and unbelievably special. I've been fortunate to be in this position a number of times, but seeing those scenes Friday and people who have reached out and talked to me about how it has affected them and what has happened over the last couple of days, it's a beautiful thing, and I just want to enjoy that. To be honest, the rest of it, I don't even want to be talking about it. I think it's just unnecessary. And then on why next season is going to be different, he said, from my perspective, I made decisions that I felt were giving us the best chance of achieving the goal we need to achieve this year, and that has affected our league form. If people don't want to take that into account, then there is nothing I can say to explain it any better than that. I came to the club that had finished 8th. I didn't take over a club that finished 2nd. They had no European football to speak of, lost the one player who probably guarantees you European football. That was my starting point. At the end of 2 years, I've got the club a trophy it's been crying out for. Champions League football. We finished 5th last year. 8th, either people are saying last year it was a huge anomaly for us to finish 5th, or this is what we deliver, right? I've got no doubt next year we'll be in a much stronger position, challenging for top places. I've got no doubt we'll tackle Champions League with the same determination we tackled the Europa League. I have no doubt that, and I've no doubts about that. And if people are seeking any more evidence about me, then there is nothing I'm going to say that's going to convince them. And if they haven't seen it in the last 2 years.
Wow.
You believe him?
No.
You don't believe him?
No.
Why?
Because you've seen this season. I just don't. I get what he's trying to say.
See, Ange out now.
No. Well, after listening to Andy, I'm going to tell people now. There were so many things that he had said in that a few weeks ago I'd have broken down and actually responded. But this is what a cup does to me. I'm not going to respond to it because I don't want to think about it now. It's not my time. I won the trophy and that's it. So, and that's what others have got to do. Just win that. Just look at what we won. Let's get onto it next season.
Do you not think, he said, when he says, either people think the 5th place finish was a massive anomaly, or because he did finish 5th.
He did finish 5th, yeah.
So people just gloss over that, don't they?
They do gloss over it, and I think everyone glosses over it because of how we started the season and then how we ended it. I think why they gloss over it is because how we ended it then creeped into this season. Mm-hmm. And then it's really crept in when when the injuries happened.
Or maybe the positivity of this season will creep into next season.
We have the problem is that it's only in Europe where it's been positive. The league games have still been there. And we've won. The last time we won, me and you done the stream together in Southampton. And that's like how long ago was that? So this is what I'm saying. It's just like, it's for me right now, I've got the Europa League. I'm not giving him long next season. I'm not giving him long. He's really got to turn it round.
If he loses the opening day, you're done.
Depends how we play. Depends how we play. But no, because look, if you got a Manchester City or like a Liverpool away on his first day, I'm not expecting us to go there and win, am I? Or Man City maybe. But look, the first 5, I'm giving him August. He's got August. And I really expect Tottenham to have plan B ready. Because they fully well know if he didn't win the Europa League.
It's not a great thing to do, though, isn't it? If you're stuck in by a manager, you already got another manager lined up.
Yeah, but you don't want to be in a Man United situation where they didn't have Plan B.
They did. Amorim was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he wasn't. The problem was they didn't want to go for him in the summer because they didn't have the players to fulfill, and they went and backed thingy. So, but they completely went to two different contrasting managers. What Spurs need to do is make sure that whoever they are signing this summer is made for Ange and made for the next guy. This is the problem that Spurs have always had. Because we go for Contes and Mourinho's, and it's like everyone, like, went from back threes to back fours and whatnot. And this is the issue you're going to have. And they've said if they're going through this data-led model, the next person under Ange should be similar to Ange, but with more adaptation to him. You know.
Oh, let's get Arsh on.
Yeah.
Hey, Arsh. Thanks for calling in, mate. And Ange says next season he's confident will be different to this season due to decisions he made this season. Well, what do you think about that?
I think he's saying a lot from last 2-3 days, but I think he should. He said that he will win in his second season, and he did it. And I hope he will. What he's saying right now, it happens. I hope so. But there are a lot of things to do to make it happen.
Do you believe in him?
Can I be honest?
Of course, go ahead.
I really want to part ways with Ange.
There'll be a lot of people in the comments agreeing with you. So don't. Yeah.
I think this is the opportunity. We are in the Champions League, and this is an opportunity to attract good players and good managers who can bring it to the next level. I think Ange. I don't think so. And first of all, I just want to say one more thing instead of this game or the winning. I just want to say a big thanks and massive respect for Brian Daigle.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me a lot. Actually, I'm from Canada, Winnipeg, and I texted Brian for the finals at Scotland Yard, and he helped me a lot to be there. And he was such a nice guy. He was so welcoming, and I just can't. He was really very helpful. He never let me feel like I'm someone like from outside or something like that, because it was my first time with such a crowd where all are Spurs fans, and it was so noisy and full of noise, and it was my a lifetime experience for me. I mean, yeah, massive respect for him, man.
That's amazing. So how was it? How was that night after winning the Europa League, all the fans together?
It was crazy, man. It was crazy. I'm like out of words how to explain that feeling, because for me it was first time to be in such an environment. Like, there's a lot of fans and everybody was fully drunk, and we were like singing Spurs, all the chants were there, and we were like singing all the songs. And for me, it was like lifetime experience for me. I will never forget it. I will never. And I think I came outside Scotland Yard at like 9 a.m. in the morning. The game was at 3 p.m. And yeah, and I think Brian came around 10 a.m. And the moment he came, he started singing. He creates the whole vibe go on. I mean, like, he didn't stop singing from 10 a.m. till the evening.
That sounds like Brian, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he created the whole vibe, started. I mean, massive respect for him, massive respect.
Fantastic. Big up to Brian Daigle. He gets enough love on this channel, doesn't he?
Yeah, too much love.
Calling in, giving him love as well. Yeah. Bloody hell, Brian. You're giving links out to people to give you love. What's going on here?
Actually, I didn't expect it that he would reply me even, because I got his email. There was one stream here in the back room. I asked for his email and he gave it to me. And somehow I lost it, and I thought how to contact him now. So I texted him on Instagram. He replied me after like 2 days, and until then I was thinking like I don't think he will reply. But then he replied me, and he gave me his personal number also, and he helped me a lot with all the things, like how I should be there and I should come a little bit early so that I will be able to get in, because there could be lines to get in there. So yeah, he helped me, and I got a picture with him.
Look at that. Yeah. Celebrity Brian Daigle.
Big up Daigle.
Pictures. Come on, big up to Brian. We have a lot of love. You just said you still want to part ways with Ange. You still think it's the right decision. Do you not think, in terms of the opportunity, is the opportunity now not to kind of capitalize on what that trophy might do for this squad and the manager and that relationship and the positivity it will have going into next season rather than ripping it up?
I totally understand you, Sim. I know it's very difficult. It would be very difficult.
Tell him, Ash. You tell him.
It could. But no, I understand that. I understand. I am not saying anything like we should get him out or like that. But I think it is the right thing to do. I know it will be very difficult. It might. There are a lot of people who would not like it. Even the team players would not like it. But I think it would be the right thing. It would be the right thing for the club only. If we see from the perspective of a club and to achieve something better, I think it would be the right thing. I really think.
So if you were to make a change, who would you be changing for? Oh, Brian.
Thanks, brother.
Brian, leave him alone. He's live.
So who would you replace him with if you were to make a change?
That's also a very difficult question because I mean, who could be a better option right now? I feel there are options, but it's not like a very realistic. If I go with them, I mean, like maybe Xavi or Inzaghi, but it's not realistic. The best option could be Glasner, I guess, because since he came to Crystal Palace, he shows that his team can play in a consistent way, and they can win. They can give a very hard time to other bigger teams than them. I think he could be a really good shout.
But okay, fair enough. All right, Ash, appreciate you calling in, mate. Thanks for your call.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys for being there after every match. I watch all of your content, everything, and thank you to all of you guys.
Thank you, Ash. Big up. Thank you for watching. This is enough. The fact the channel is nothing without people like you watching. So big up to you. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the call, and appreciate Brian Daigle as well. Big up to you, Ash. All right. Is anyone else? All right. That is it for season 24-25. Big up to everyone in the chat. Let me just quickly go through some super chats before we leave you guys. We have Mal says, if you're Anjin, still we're going to be just as bad as next year.
You tell him.
Kai can't do it again. No, I don't think we are. Mate. Come on. We're going to have learnt lessons. Look, basically, first season 5th, second season European trophy, next season combining the two, 5th and a European trophy, and that's what we're going to do. We're just going to combine the two. We're going to learn the lessons.
You've got me twice this year, Sim.
Come on.
Do you remember, who was it? Villa or West Ham, and you said we're going to win 4-1, and everyone was like, Simmy, you've been drinking.
Yeah.
And we actually did went out and back. You said the way they play and this, that, and the other. I think it was Villa.
Yeah, Villa, yeah.
Villa, and we were like, no, and we all just sat there and went, okay. And then you said, we'll probably win the Europa League as well. So, you know what? I have to give you props.
Come on. Season 3 is better than season 2. Come on, people. Malware says, I reckon we played well enough to win considering all the partying, missed chances from Tell and Johnson. But hey, we won in Bilbao. Come on, you Spurs. Big up. Big up to you, Malware. Thank you for the chat. Super chat. Ian JD says, thanks for the trophy, but Ange needs to go. Come on. Let's keep this good feeling. Let's not be talking about manager going. Let's back him. Next season's going to be better. We're going to learn the lessons. Come on, people. CCM28 says, where's the context of how... I've read that one already. Liholo Moko Tadi says, the league is the best barometer for form. Facts. I think it is. But just like there's context for cups, there's also context for league form. And I think that this league has been littered with reasons why we can say we've fallen away. Like people say, regardless of injuries, we shouldn't be where we are, which I understand and probably true. But like when you actually deep it, where the kind of players we were playing, right, for a lot of the season, like how many teams has Gray getting at centre back in the Premier League?
Nobody.
Nobody. How many teams has Forster get in?
Forster would get into as a second.
First choice. We were playing him for like 10 games.
But if they're goalkeeper, if you have to go look at it.
I'm saying the team while we were injured. This was our team, right?
But if you look at but you have to look at it. If those teams, all their first choice goalkeepers, then got injured.
No. Forget that. I'm saying
but Gray wouldn't get into most people's second choices.
That's my point. That's my point. We were playing.
Would.
No, but Forster's a first choice. How many would he get in?
Not first choice, but
how many? How many?
But he'd get into second choice.
But I'm saying, so like these players were playing right for a lot of our season between November to January.
But Gray's probably the only one. But if I look at Forster, there's a lot of. If I look at Gray, I'd sit there and go, if you look at the centre backs that other teams have had, he still wouldn't get in. Even if their first team was out, he still wouldn't get in. But with Fraser Forster, if all their first choice goalkeepers were gone, he'd get into some of them teams as a second choice goalkeeper. There's a difference. And the only thing I'd say is...
I don't know he would.
I think he would.
I don't know how many he would. Maybe a few. I don't know.
Because there's...
Maybe near the bottom.
Near the bottom, but he'd still
but that's near the bottom, so that's where we are.
But if you look at the other players that we had that were available... And everyone else has complained about injuries this season. The teams that have complained about injuries, a lot of them are still mid-table. Apart from everyone is still mid-table, and the quality they have. Like Manchester City complained about injuries. Arsenal said they didn't win the title because of injuries, but they weren't sitting there lying in 17th. I get it.
Yeah, but they're a much better team than us.
Yeah, I get it. But when injuries happened...
And so City, you're talking about a team that's won 4 in a row.
City's not the only... Because I look at Bournemouth then. I look at the other teams.
They haven't had European football.
Fulham
haven't had European football.
But this is the problem. Ange had to get to a point where he was leaving Archie Gray exposed. He wasn't protecting them. He started leaving them exposed with his tactics. And that's where the problem comes in. If it came to where he went to Brentford and went, you know what? I've got to change this. I can't be leaving them always exposed and whatnot. We went and won the game. The Europa League games, he didn't start to leave the players that he saw them all come in and thought he could still play the same way. And that was the big issue that everyone had. Because the Europa League campaign, I think we only lost to Galatasaray, really.
Yeah.
So, but the league campaign, he was just leaving people to go at Archie Gray. He was, Ben Davis was there for a little bit, Dragusin as well. So it was kind of like, so that's the problem. If you looked at it and deeped it, that team that he had should have probably 12th should have been the lowest we should have been at that time. 12th.
It was a team just so desperate. Like the team they had wasn't great.
But if I looked at it and I said, but we still went out and beat Manchester City with a decimated team.
Credit to us.
We still beat Manchester United with a decimated team. We were better than them. Ipswich, Leicester, the bottom three we were better than. I'd probably sit there and say we were better than Brentford because we went and beat them with a decimated team. So you have to look at the teams that are around us. Wolves, we're better than Wolves with a decimated teams. We should have been better than Wolves, but we wasn't.
There's a lot of those Wolves players that get into our team when there are loads of injuries.
Not really.
Gomez, Aït-Nouri, probably. A lot.
No, they wouldn't.
They would. There's quite a few. Faz Radfar says, this summer is key time for Levy to back Ange.
So key.
Absolutely agree. Hawaii says, we must strive for excellence. Europa League makes it hard to sack Ange, but we need to much better next year. Personal, managing, and squad. I agree we need much better, but let's back Ange to do it. Let's back him to... Let's
Come on.
We
still got one
we
more
do have a choice. We do have a choice. Yeah, I'm just going to read the one more super chat. We'll get him on. And Rambro says, Europa League champions. Come on, you Spurs.
That's
even better in 25-26. Big up, Rambro. And let's get the last... He's on the phone now.
What's he doing on the phone? What amateur hour is this?
What is going on? Who's he talking to? He's calling his agent. All right, let's get him on.
He's trying to adopt a new brother.
Ben
He's like, I'm a European champion now. I can do what the fuck I
want. Come on.
European champion.
Tell me what it was like today at the stadium. But we'll see some scenes on social media and stuff. But just speak about the day.
Day was brilliant. As soon as you got on the high road, the sun was shining, the songs were blaring, everyone was in a top mood. You get into the stadium, the concourse was just packed. You literally couldn't move. And everyone was just, literally, as you were walking up to the stadium, all you could hear was, we're on our way to the Bilbao, we're on our way. And it was just song after song after song. I think as I got in the stadium, I recorded, I think about 20 minutes that song went for, 20 minutes straight. And everyone was just going absolutely mental. No one really cared about the game, to be honest, today. They just didn't. It was just the party atmosphere, party mode. Getting into the bowl, into the stadium, it was the same songs going and everyone just in a top mood, man. Everyone's just buzzing after the week that we've had. And I think a lot of people just have the same kind of croaky voice as I do. It's just like everyone's got their like war scars from the week, and it's just great to see Spurs fan base finally with some smiles on their faces.
Yeah, and I think it was obvious that, to be fair, the first half wasn't bad, actually. We obviously got the goal, didn't we? And it was always going to catch up with us at one point. I always got that feeling. But I saw at full where they can score the fourth goal, and the fans just broke into and the Spurs after that fourth goal. So I think that was probably kind of sending a message about how much that game really meant to the fans there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually quite surprised how we came out the traps. I thought we were good in the first half. Nice little moves, pass moves. The move for the penalty, with that Saar pass between the lines and Tell winning the penalty, I thought was pretty good. And there was a few other kind of exchanges and passages of play which I was quite impressed with. And I felt like the team were just feeding off the energy of the fans in that first half because the energy levels were so high from the stands. And in the second half, yeah, I mean, it took its toll, man. All that partying over the last couple of weeks definitely took its toll in the second half. And look, it is what it is. Like, nobody really cared. It was just still party atmosphere. As soon as the game finished, all the legends came on the pitch, and Sonny came out with the trophy, parading it around the stadium, and all the players at the end got their go to lift it up in front of the fans as well. So it was just a really nice atmosphere today.
Did Ange speak?
No, no one spoke.
No one spoke. Okay.
No, it's just Paul Coit.
I thought he would have.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I guess he had the speeches on Friday, but
no, but they didn't even do like the awards, like Player of the Season or anything like that. Like it was just like the parade lap of honor, and that was it.
Interesting.
Well, Bergvall was going to win it all, so it didn't really matter, I suppose.
True. There's what I told you about this on yesterday, but it has definitely happened. I mean, it's mainly only on the chat, but there's definitely been a clamour again after another defeat. I know it's 4-1. Everyone's like 22 defeats, 17th. Can we really keep this guy on for next season? And just made a big case for the defence in the press conference today about why next season will be better, and he's confident it will be better, and he assures everyone it will be better than this season. And he says he finds it weird that he's even talking about his future after achieving something unprecedented. How are you feeling about all that?
I don't think there should be questions about his future right now. We're a European champion. We won the Europa League. We've done something which we haven't done in 41 years. It's a momentous occasion, and it's an unbelievable triumph what we've done this season. Yes, the league form completely unacceptable. I totally get that. I've been one of Ange Out's biggest advocates over the past 4 or 5 months.
Have you really been a big Ange Out? Have you?
No, maybe not the biggest, but just the biggest. I've been banging on about it all season, right? And now we're here, season's over, we've won this trophy, we're in the Champions League next season. I think it's only right that he leads us into next season and he gets that chance to put the league form that went horribly wrong this season right. And if he can't do that, and 2-3 months into the season it's still going horribly wrong, then I think it's probably time to say goodbye. But because he's given us the best day that we've ever experienced as a Spurs fan, anyone watching this that's like below 40, 50 years old, you know what I mean? This is our best ever moment as a Spurs fan, and he delivered that for us. So he deserves to take us into next season.
What happens if we start the season off badly? Would you give him the first international break or the second one?
Depends how badly it is. Like if we're losing games but playing well, or if we're just completely off it and not playing well at all, then he probably should go as early as possible. But I don't know. It all depends on how we're looking, to be honest.
Yeah, he's also spoken about Romero. I don't know if you saw. Did you see some of the quotes?
Yeah,
he said,
I saw that. Yeah.
So he said, it's very important Tottenham can keep Romero for the long term. And he said, who are you going to replace someone like Romero with? There's not a lot of players out there like him. So what I'm obviously saying that, and do you think he's sending any sort of message to Romero, to the board, about what we should be doing? What can we do about making him stay? Is that kind of implying it's going to be difficult to keep him? How would you read into it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because he's just so straight up and out there with it. Like, Romero can't leave this football club. He's so important to us. I thought maybe he'd say that behind closed doors, but not out there in the press. I thought it was quite interesting. I don't know. I mean, he's just trying to say, look, he's vice captain. A lot of the players in the team look up to him. He's a winner. He's proven every single final he gets to, he's literally the best player on the park. He was for us on Wednesday night as well. And it would be a massive loss. I was saying to you, Sim, after the final, like, selling Romero, getting rid of Romero could put us back at a significant stage, like, in our development, if we're going to go on and do something next season.
Oh, he's just been cut off. Cut off in his prime.
Oh, he's going to have to wait to say the rest of that then, isn't he?
We'll wait for you to come back, man. Oh, he's back. He's back. Go on.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Where did you lose me at?
We were just talking about Romero. You're just saying... I can't remember. You're just saying how...
Listening to me then, were you?
No, you were just saying...
Go on.
Yeah.
You were saying you were quite surprised that he's come out in the press and said basically.
Thank you, Marlon. At least someone's listening.
Of course, I know Sim's concentrating on something else.
Yeah, so I was surprised he's come out like so outspoken about it. I thought he'd like reserve that for behind the closed doors, but he's right because I was saying to Sim, like, after the final, losing Romero could put us back a significant step. Like, he's a pure winner. Every time he gets into a final, he's the best player on the park. He was our best player on the park on Wednesday night. And he's a world-class player. And to lose someone like that, it's going to be incredibly difficult to replace. It really will. Like, we got Danso, who I'm impressed with, but he's nowhere near Kuti Romero. Who can we sign in this current market that would actually come to us that's anywhere close to Kuti's level?
That's what I said. Yeah,
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And whoever we sign, it would likely going to be, taking a step backwards. So it's. But
it's not just a step backwards; it's a massive step backwards.
So it's about convincing him. But as I was saying, would you be, Marlon? Do you think you'd be if he said, "I'm not signing," but we've got Vuskovic and Phillips and whatever waiting in the wings? Would you? But he said, "Look, I'll stay here for 2 years, but I'm not signing a contract." Would you be willing to allow him just to see out for 2 years, just so we have him for 2 years?
I'd keep him for 1 year and then assess it next summer.
I think we should offer him we should do our best to offer him, pay parity with Sonny.
Yeah.
Make and give him a 1 year extension to his deal, so he has 3 years left. That means we have 1 year to convince him that this club is really going in the right direction. And I think he might get on board with that.
Yeah, I think a 1 year extension sounds
right. Yeah, because I think it just depends on whether he wants to personally stay. For me, I feel like he's given up on, I know he's won everything, but his heart's elsewhere now, and that's the only issue that we've got. Whether he wants to stay, it doesn't matter how much money we throw at him. I think for him right now, he just wants to be in a Spanish-speaking country. I think that's where his head's at, and I think he wants to move his family there as well. So it's just
if that's the case, then we're on a hiding to nothing.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. That's why it'd be interesting to see if you were to offer him the bigger money, would he sign it?
If he's got his heart set on leaving, then you've got to let him go. But
how old is he?
27?
27, yeah.
So if he stays for 3 years, he's going into his 30s already. So I think we just got to accept that we're going to have to let him go at some point. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of songs for Ange in the stadium today?
Yeah, there was. In the concourse before the game, it was popping off with Ange songs. In the stadium, towards the second half, there was some Ange songs. But at the end of the game, when he had the trophy, it was a really nice moment. He was lifting up the trophy to the fans in the South Stand, and the whole South Stand was singing his name. So quite a few Ange lovings today, let's say.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we haven't done a poll today or anything, but I do. I'm sure you probably spoke to a lot of fans while you were there. Like, do you think the pendulum has completely swung? Like, is that the feeling at the moment, or is there still quite a lot of people saying thank you, but you got to go?
No, I think everyone wants to give him the benefit of the doubt and to see if he can take us into next season and do something significant. Because look, everyone is just gassed that we've won the Europa League, and that's what it comes to. Like, if you deliver something of that magnitude to this club, you deserve to keep your job and to move forward, even if you've had, probably the worst Premier League campaign in the club's history. So I think the fans are willing to give them benefit of the doubt with the injuries and all that kind of stuff. And it's just been a crazily bad season. But because he's delivered success, something that we've craved for so long, I think the majority that I've spoken to anyway are willing to go forward with him. And, I was speaking to Graham, who sits next to us, and he was massively Ange out. Yeah. He was massively Ange out. He's Ange in now. Danny Kiriakou, he was massively Ange out. He's Ange in now. Me, I was massively Ange out. I'm Ange in now. There's just so many.
I was going to ask something. I forgot what I was going to ask now. Jed.
On that old Ange in, Ange out thing, I asked Brian earlier, is your heart ruling over your head with the whole Ange at the moment because of what's just happened?
Yeah, there's definitely a case to say that for sure. But the reality is that the head will overrule the heart very quickly if it comes to pass. And because he's delivered us what he's delivered us right now, our best night in our Spurs supporting memory, lifetime, if he doesn't do the job at the beginning stage of next season, he'll be gone. That's just the reality. So just let's give him the benefit of the doubt for the next few months at least and see where it takes us.
Oh yeah, I knew I was going to ask. Being there with at the after the lap of honour, any sign of anyone you think who looked like they were saying goodbye?
Yes, actually, Richarlison. Richarlison just looked very overly emotional, but not happy emotional, a bit sad and a bit subdued. And he was going into the fans and taking selfies with fans, and he wasn't waving or anything like that, but there was just something about it that I thought, that might be his last time we're seeing him.
Okay, but nothing else.
What about Tell?
That's the only one I noticed was Richarlison. What'd you say?
Yeah. How about Tell?
Nah, I didn't really notice anything with Tell, to be honest. He walked off the pitch when he got substituted. He walked around the whole south stand. Everyone gave him a massive ovation. He was just clapping. But no, there was nothing really in there.
Tell said in an interview with the club after the game, he said, the Tottenham is more than just a club. It's everything to us, he said. Matisse Tell. Do you think he's fully poised now? He's fully bought into the club?
He's definitely fully poised. You've seen the way he's acted since joining this club, going into the stands for good and for bad. I'm so torn with Matisse Tell. I don't know.
It was a bit better again today, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something missing from his play. You see some good things in there, but you can see he's nowhere near the finished article yet. That's the reality. He is 19 years of age, so we need to see a lot more from him, but he will grow in the Spurs shirt. But we need experience, guys. This summer is the summer to get experience in. Ange has said it. Daniel Levy has to back Ange with experienced players. We say it every summer, but this summer more than ever.
He said it, Ange, in his press conference today. He said we need players who are comfortable at Champions League level. That's what he said.
100%.
And if we get that, then maybe things can change. Look, we'll have to wait and see. There's so much. It's weird, isn't it? Even though we've got so much happiness and we're so much delight and joy going to the summer. Right now, there's still so much uncertainty about a lot of fans, a lot of players, and the manager as well. So there's a lot of waiting to see what's going to happen right now.
Oh wait, I'll tell you a funny thing that happened in the parade after the game. Everyone was buzzing, everyone was singing songs and whatever. The players were going around with the trophies, and then the camera panned to Daniel Levy and the whole stadium booed.
So maybe that goes to show that feelings haven't quite shifted with him just yet, as much as that with Ange.
I just thought that was hilarious because it was such a joyous occasion. Everyone was singing songs and happy and jumping up and down, and then it just panned to him and you just hear a massive boo around the whole stadium.
God, I'm assuming they had to quickly get him off the screen.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Fantastic. All right, well, we'll break down everything tomorrow in the studio. Well, I don't know how much we'll talk about the game. I don't know how much you watched of the game even, I bet. But
was there a game? I know that we played decent in the first half and we didn't get out of our own half in the second half. So
that was it. All right.
But no, I want to say credit to the players for even getting on that pitch today, though. With what they've how much
Johnson played 90 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's mad. I don't know how they got out there. Yeah.
Credit to them, man.
Credit to
even though they lost 4-1.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think so.
Can't remember.
Anyway, Ben.
But Marlon, good to see you in the studio, man.
Of course, man. Of course. Back next season, huh?
Yeah.
Come on. 24-25 over and out. On to the next one.
European champions.
Come on. 17
Wait a sec. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Arsenal with the European Cup?
Have I fuck? There we go. There was Ben. Oh, everyone's in a good mood. So it's weird if you look at our chat today.
Oh my god, yeah.
The chat was going all in on Anjal, but apparently everyone's stadium was cheering for him. So
that's the difference.
Maybe it just goes to show.
Yeah,
but look, guys, we have to go. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everyone who tuned in for the watch along and sending super chats and all that. Michigos, a big up to everyone. 24-25 will definitely be a season we remember, that's for sure. Marlon, big up to you. Go and subscribe to Spurs Kings TV, people. Link is in the title of the video. Go and give them some subs. Show them some love if you want to see more of Marlon and Ash. But we'll see you all guys very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.